to our second episode of Christians Make Bad Art. I am here in the kitchen of my father's house, and so my first guest, official guest, is Stephen Watts, my dad, who is a lifelong musician who's been playing for my whole life, and he's made 14 albums. He's a saxophone player in the band called Dotsero, which is the band he's been a part of forever. And so I just wanted to kind of get his thoughts on this topic. And so what you've been doing music your whole life, basically have had no other job. This is what your whole life has been dedicated to. But there was this one moment in your life when kind of everything changed in your career, in your life. And can you tell everybody about that a little bit?
Sure, and thanks for letting me be a part of your show here. This is a moment that is many people consider a moment of clarity, and I have been in music my whole life, and I realized through the help of my wife Sandra that my drinking had become no longer a matter of choice. And so I had to come to the realization that I was an alcoholic and I drank alcoholically, and that it was affecting not only my music and my career, but more importantly it was affecting my relationships and my family. And last but not least, my life. I don't think I would be here today if I had not made the decision to get clean and sober. And so that's kind of where that moment came from, and it did change everything.
Yeah, it was a huge turning point. And so like one of the big things about Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, is kind of the anonymity or the anonymous part of that, and you held on to that for a while until you decided to kind of come out as a recovering alcoholic and be more open with your Christianity by starting a Christian radio station. Can you tell everybody about that a little bit?
Yeah, I through the early sobriety has all kinds of life changes. They talk about having a psychic change. Mm-hmm. And now one of the most beautiful things for me is I always had a relationship with God. Mm-hmm. I always felt that God was with me when I was drinking. It was not His choice for me to become alcoholic. It wasn't His choice for me to abuse a substance like alcohol and have it, affect my life. But what happened is it was comforting that when I did come to that acceptance that I was alcoholic and that I needed to change my life completely, I needed to have that psychic change. Mm-hmm. God was right there, and Jesus was right there and said, okay, I'm here. Let's do it this way, and I'll be with you every step of the way. It doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean that there wasn't going to be, as we call many times, life on life's terms. For an alcoholic, we've spent a lot of time trying to numb out feelings and not face life's ups and downs on life's terms, and that's one of the things that is so incredibly great. Then all of a sudden you have a new relationship with God, a new relationship with Jesus, where okay, you are fully trusting. Mm-hmm. Fully trusting. And the other part about that that's so important is to finally and absolutely be honest with yourself, with God, and with your family, and with everybody else. Honesty is the biggest part.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember what a huge transformation that was for our relationship too. It just, it was rough goings there for years, and then when that happened, it changed everything. And so, but really, what was really interesting to me is how that, kind of come to Jesus moment in your life affected how you started writing music, affected how how you released music and how you went about that whole process. So do you think that having that relationship with God has affected how you create your art?
Most definitely. There's that point in time where you realize that you want to please God and Jesus more than you want to please people. Now that it sounds like it sounds like, well, then you're kind of isolating yourself, which is counter. I don't want to be a monk.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm monk material. But no, I still am out there with people that drink, and people that are not alcoholics, and yet my art now, my music is inspired on a level of wanting to please God. It's wanting to and also feel a calling. I always, I asked you about the calling that you had, and I'm fascinated with people that have a calling. But last year, latter part of 2015, right into the beginning of 2016, I felt a very definite and real call, not to preach, not to, but to witness and to give testimony and to give honest testimony. And that is something, honesty is something that is, if you don't have it, it can be the biggest thorn that will keep you from truly getting clean and sober, but also it can be the thing that will put up that barrier, that final little barrier between you and God. And now that you're on a different level of relationship, of being clean and sober, some people call it stark raving sober, that you trust God on a different level. You realize that God is in control. Some people say it's as simple as saying, well, God's got this. And I like that.
Yeah. So do you think, so since you've had this huge transformation, you've started this Christian radio talk show, which is going really, really well. Do you think that the art world has been accepting of your life change, or have you felt some pushback or some alienation?
Both. I think one of the greatest things is I see people that have known me and have never seen the Stephen Watts that was a drinker. And they accept me on a whole different level of trust and friendship and respect that I really like. And it's like it's a person, I feel like they trust me as a person. Then there's the people that have seen the transformation, like you, and other people, and they're some are skeptical, and they should be. I mean, we've learned, and it says in some of our material for the support groups that I attend, that 20 years of drinking would make a skeptic out of anybody, especially spouses, especially families. Children are more readily accepting of a family member becoming sober. So yes, and so to answer the question, it goes through cycles, because there are times when I in early sobriety and I was learning to play again, and I was learning to love playing again, and that's a big part, is learning to realize that how much I love to play, how much and again, that's part of wanting to please God. But at the beginning I wanted to shout it to the world, and I wanted, where's my ticker tape parade?
Yeah.
Then it goes through cycles, and I told a few people that I was alcoholic and Christian, and they kind of, well, but I think they're a little bit taken aback at that level of commitment. And they could see that I wasn't playing around.
Yeah.
They could see that it was real, and that this wasn't a guy just talking about it. This guy doing his all to live it. And again, that comes back down to the honesty part of it. If you don't have the honesty, you you really don't have any foundation. And to answer your question about the radio show, I'm excited about getting into doing a YouTube project very similar to this one, and then also possibly taking the radio show to a new level of possibly taking it to TV. And I talked to a guy that is a TV producer and is an award-winning TV producer here in the Denver metro area. And he said, Steve, I support you 100%, but if you go out there and you tell people in the world through the media that you are sober and you are a Christian and you go out on that platform, you better be ready, because you can never go back.
Wow. Yeah.
And that sounds like something a father would say or something, but I took it in a different way. I went like, oh, you're right. You're right. There isn't that safety net anymore. And then that goes back to, it is a complete psychic change. It is a complete, no barrier between my relationship with God.
Gosh, thank you so much for sharing. And seriously, if you guys wouldn't mind, go to StephenRayWatts.com, go to Facebook. .com/StephenRayWatts and check out Conscious Conversations. I was just on this last Sunday. It's on Sunday nights. So please check it out, KUHSdenver.com. It's a fantastic show. And so I guess the last question really quickly is, do you think Christians make bad art?
No, I think Christians make divine art. I think the Lord God uses Christians to speak and to show and to many times be a vessel, a conduit to where divine expression can come through the artist and into people that are just waiting like this for it. And all you have to know is Handel's Messiah. All you have to know is the music of Bach and Mozart and Beethoven and the art of Michelangelo. If you bring that into this day, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say, you and I had an experience with a song that was simply given to us. You didn't write it, I didn't write it, but we were the instruments of. It was just there for us to be a part of, and it was divine. So, in my opinion, Christians make divine art and should celebrate and shout out the fact that they're Christians. I have a little prayer that I say. I say a prayer before every time I play. I say, "Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity to play. Thank you for letting me spread your gospel today. Thank you for letting me witness to your word, your will, and your way. And it is in the name of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, that I humbly pray. Amen."
Man, that's brilliant. Well, gosh, thank you so much, you guys. Please subscribe if you like what we're doing here. Please subscribe. There'll be a button to subscribe. Also, there'll be a button to subscribe and like the Conscious Conversations page as well. So until next time, you guys have a great night.